Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel setupdrivingschool.com. So I'm going to be showing you here how to set up your driving school from start to finish, and hopefully I've learnt by my pitfalls in setting up my school and you're going to benefit from that. You may wonder why I'm sitting in what looks like a caravan. I'm actually on holiday in France at the moment. I've come away in my motorhome. And I'm sitting at one of the French ports waiting to catch the ferry, so I thought it would be a good time while I'm waiting to do you a video. So today what we're going to do is look at the inside of your vehicle and all the items that you'll need to make your school run nice and smoothly. In the 12 years that I've been running a driving school, I've gradually evolved the equipment that I have in the car, and now I feel that I've got a really good set of tools that I use that makes the lessons run really smoothly and helps you to come across really professionally to your students. So the basic things that you will actually need are things such as pens, an obvious thing I know, but what you don't want to be doing is running out of ink halfway through a lesson. So I used to buy all my pens from a stationery shop, which became quite costly, and then when I was at a car boot sale one day I found that there was a guy selling stationery and he had a big bag of pens, so I just bought this really big bag of pens and it was really cheap. So that's a good way of buying your pens. Also, if you go to any hotels, any seminars, you'll find that there are free pens there that you can grab and keep in the car. Also, in my diary, I don't like writing in pencil in my diary because obviously you have to change your appointments every now and again, and you don't really want lots of crossing out in your diary. Well, I certainly don't. I've found a pen that actually can rub out, so I use that for my diary, which keeps it all looking nice and neat. The other thing I use is highlighters. So when I've got my student notes out on my lap and I'm writing the notes down for each lesson, as I'm teaching, I use highlighters which each colour will represent a different level that the student's at, so I can literally just quickly look at my notes and see at what stage they're at without having to read lots of information. So highlighters are a really useful thing to have as well. As I said, I write notes throughout the lesson, so I have an A4 4-ring binder folder on my lap. And that contains all of the different students' notes. I also have dividers within the folder, alphabetical dividers, so that I can easily find and reference each student, because what you don't want is the student getting in the car and you're busy hunting backwards and forwards in your folder trying to find the students' names. So that was a useful addition. The other thing is plastic sheets. Again, you can keep your show me tell me question sheets in there, you can keep your terms and conditions for each student, and also you can keep the little sheet that I use as a quick reference tool in the plastic sheet. The other good thing about having the folder open on your lap is that it gets the student used to somebody sitting next to them with paperwork on their lap, because that's exactly what the examiner will be doing, so it kind of psychologically gets them used to that, which is a good thing, and it keeps you nice and organised. I will actually be going into the folder in a separate video, so I'll be breaking down everything that I put in the folder so it gives you an idea of how to put your folders together. That's something that would have been really useful for me when I first started, but I kind of had to evolve that myself, so hopefully you'll find that really useful. So if you look out for that in another video. Antibacterial wipes. Again, another really useful thing. If you imagine the student gets into the car, they're going to be under pressure, they're going to be nervous. Where's the first place they're going to perspire from when they're nervous? Out of the palms of their hands. So the steering wheel is going to get really sticky, as well as all the other controls. So what I generally do when every student gets out, I wipe the steering wheel down, I wipe the gear stick, the handbrake, the indicator stick and the door handle, and anywhere else that they may have touched. Apart from anything, you imagine the amount of germs that are coming in and out of the car, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to the student, but if you want to protect yourself in that environment, then I would suggest that you do that. And also, I don't really want to get back into a steering wheel in a car that's got stickiness on it. I want to make it nice and clean, and it's also nice for the next student. I also keep a cushion in the back seat. This is really useful for the people that are shorter and can't reach the pedals even with the seat pulled right forward. It's usually the girls that this is the situation with. Most of the guys I don't have this problem with. So I just keep a cushion on the back seat, and they know when they get in the car they just grab the cushion and put it underneath, and that solves the problem, and obviously it makes them more comfortable when they're learning to drive. It's also a good icebreaker, because when you pull the cushion forward it makes everybody laugh, and it just breaks the ice, so that's a good thing. I keep a full-size bath towel in the car. This is also to do with the stickiness and the sweatiness, especially in the summer months, because when the student's nervous they will sweat, and you really don't want to get into a seat that somebody else has been sweating in. So what I do is, as soon as the student gets out of the car, very discreetly I will grab the towel and put it on the seat, so that when you get to the next lesson the seat's nice and dry again, and also you're not sat in somebody else's sweat, basically. I keep a box of tissues in the car. Again, when you have taken your student for test and they haven't got the results that they want, the frustration kicks in and the tears flow. So having a large box of tissues just to offer them is not a necessity, but it's just a nice little touch to show them that you care, because it can be a very long drive home with a student that's quite upset. The other thing is if the student gets into the car and they've forgotten to bring a tissue and they have a cold, you don't want them sniffing and snuffling all the way through the lesson. So again, a tissue is a really useful thing to have. A keyring with an easy release hook on it. When you take your student for the test, you'll have your bunch of keys, and most people, when they have a car key, they have a whole bunch of keys hanging on the car key. So when you get to the test, you don't want anything to distract from the actual test itself. Your job will be to make them feel comfortable and calm. So they will be going out with your car with the examiner for 40 minutes, and you just want to literally just give them your key. You don't want them to have to worry about anything else. So if you've got a key ring where you can easily detach the car key from the bunch of keys, then that's going to save a lot of time, which is always a good thing. Small model cars, just tiny little kind of dinky models of cars. I keep them in my glove compartment, and they're really useful when you're trying to explain a situation to a student. So it could be a manoeuvre that you're trying to explain, so you can use the cars and demonstrate with them as to how you want them to manoeuvre around a vehicle. It's also useful if you are if you're going to explain something about the car itself. On the back of the car, maybe for instance you're explaining the reversing lights and the fact that the car has some white lights come on the back. It's really useful for that as well, and again it breaks the ice. You get your toy cars out and they think it's hilarious, so that breaks the ice. You don't need to spend a lot of money on these things. Again, car boots are great. You'll find stalls with loads of these different cars, a few pence each, and you can just grab them and have them in your glove compartment. Car cleanliness. Always try to keep a clean and tidy and well presented vehicle for obvious reasons. Nobody wants to get into your car that smells of yesterday's lunch or coffee cup stains on the dashboard. Always carry some glass cleaner and special car interior cleaner, and every now and again I will give the surfaces a wipe. I also keep a dustpan and brush, so again I can just give the car a sweep out. You'll be amazed how much dust comes into the car from different students getting in and out of the car. I also use a washing up brush, which has like a long handle on it, because it's really easy to get into the little corners of the car that you can't normally reach. I do have a portable vacuum cleaner, but it's always at home. I never have it out when I'm out on the road, and sometimes you might need to clean your floor mats, in the middle of lessons or in between lessons. I keep some cloths in the car as well for dirty mirrors, so if it rains and the mirrors get covered in water, the students will struggle to see what's going on in the mirrors, because at the end of the day they're still learning to use their mirrors, and any kind of distraction is going to affect them. So what I'll do is I keep a cloth in the car, and then I can give the mirrors a good wipe. I find the micro cloths really useful because they absorb the water really well. Phone holders and your sat-nav. Most people have phone holders now in their car. My one is placed right in the middle of the car, so It's handy for if I want to demonstrate something to the student. I have quite a large phone with a large screen, so the phone is placed right in the middle and we can both view the screen if I'm trying to explain something to them. The other thing is the test has changed now, so most tests the student will have to follow a sat-nav. So I have a sat-nav on the phone. I just use Google Maps. I find that handy, and it just plays through the audio system of the car, so they can just follow that when they're practicing for their driving test. The examiner will bring their own sat-nav and they put that on the top of the dashboard in the middle. The other thing I find the sat-nav useful for is during lessons. When I first started, I didn't used to use the sat-nav, and I found that I was running late, getting back from lessons and running really late, which was fine for the student. They were getting great value for money, but not very good for my profit margins. So I find with the sat-nav, I set it to the point where I'm picking the student up from and also where I'll be dropping them back. And as I drive round, the sat-nav will tell me how long I have left of every lesson, so I pretty much get back at the exact time from the lesson. Also, obviously, if you have to pick a student up for the first time and you don't know where you're going, the sat-nav really is a great tool, and it gets you there nice and quickly, and obviously you know how much time it's going to take you to get to the lesson. Your phone charger, obviously most people will know to have a phone charger in the car, but if you're using your sat-nav all the time on your phone, then you will need to keep your phone charged because it does drain the battery very quickly. Obviously using your sat-nav on the phone is going to cost you in data charges, so it's down to you whether you want to do that. Obviously you could buy a TomTom or something like that and then it wouldn't cost you, but I have enough data on my phone to be able to use the sat-nav. Bottles of water in the boot. You will need to keep hydrated whilst you're driving around all day, especially in the summer months, because if you imagine how much talking you're doing, especially when the students are new, you tend to do a lot more talking than if they're in the later stages of their learning. Basically you won't be doing as much talking. So I will say to my students, the object of your learning process is to shut me up, because the less I'm talking, the more I feel that you've learned, and I will just be observing you. So they always find that quite funny. But back to the hydration factor, I keep some large bottles of water in the boot, and I top a small bottle up and I keep that in the car, and then when I need to top it up again when I've drunk the water, I can top it up. I also keep a bottle of squash in the boot, so because sometimes I get a bit bored with just drinking water. The other thing, of course, is you will want to have a lot more toilet stops when you drink more water, but that's just the nature of the beast. So I find McDonald's are quite good for going to the loo. You can pop in, maybe grab yourself a drink and go to the loo at the same time. Talking of drinks, drink breaks throughout the day. I like to have a coffee and a tea break throughout the day, because at the end of the day, if you were working in an office, you would have a coffee or a tea break. So you will need a drinks holder for that. Sometimes you will find that in the modern cars they have the little wells in the middle where you can put your drink, or if you haven't got one of those, you can get a clip-on one into your air vent at the front and your drink will rest there. But obviously be aware of the safety factor when you have drinks in the car. Multicoloured stickers. I use these for markers around the car, so if the student, when they first get into the car, they won't have much of an idea of the width of the car, so they will need markers to be able to line up against the curb, so when they pull up against the curb they're not going to hit the curb. Also when they're driving along the road, to keep them central between the curb and the middle white line. These are just things that they need at the beginning. They won't need those after a while. The other thing I use the markers for are the manoeuvres, so I might stick a sticker on the door and line it up with a line on the road, so that they know when the line lines up with a dot that they turn. So that's a brief rundown of the sort of things that you will need in the car. If you go to my website, which the link is down below, then you will find all this information in much more detail. Don't forget to like my video, really grateful if you would do that. And also, if you want to subscribe, the button is just down there. And if you want to know about any other videos that I will be bringing out, which I'll be bringing them out regularly, then you can hit the little bell and that will notify you when I put a new video out there. Also, I have a Facebook page, so if you want to contact me directly, you can put any questions on the Facebook page. It's a group, so you will have to join it, but it would be great to see you there, and you know, we can discuss any problems that you've got and any ideas that you come up with. That would be great to help other people as well. So thank you very much for joining me today. I will be posting more videos, as I've said, breaking down the whole process of becoming a driving instructor. So look out for some more videos, and I'll see you in the next video.